Hey traders, this is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group with your end of day market recap. Also with a recap of the trades that we took, the day trades that we took today in the Tribeca Trade Group room. So let's start with the FANG stocks. Just to kind of, if you're new to Tribeca Trade Group, what we do every morning, we open up the room at 8:30, at 8:45, we start to come on and talk about the day's events, what happened in overnight markets. And, one of the first things that we noticed was that overnight markets Asia markets were up big last night. A lot of big green arrows across the board in emerging markets, especially in some of those tech areas like Taiwan, in Hong Kong as well. The Shanghai, the Shenzhen was up pretty nicely. And then what we normally do is we start to look at the technicals and some of the names that we're interested in trading for the day. So we go over this every day. Here's a cutout of what we were looking at this morning. We started to look at day trade setups. And I looked at the FANG stocks. I looked at Apple. I was slightly bullish. I never actually took a trade in Apple. It just didn't set up nicely. But where I was really focusing my attention was on Facebook and Google. Actually, Google was, to me, looked like, from a technical setup, looked great. But I was also looking at Facebook this morning. So I want to walk you through why we decided to go long in Facebook this morning. So let's just look at the chart. This is something that we've participated in. We participated in a long back last Monday. And, what has the stock done after earnings? It's gapped up and it's done nothing but kind of consolidate here, just like the overall market has been doing. It's basically been going sideways here, but it had a couple scary days in here, but it never really broke down. That's why we use the support area on the top of value on the daily chart. And you can see that, while we've reached it intraday, we really never closed below it. We had one day here where we closed below it, but you could start to see it was starting to build momentum and get away from this red line, get away from the top of value, which is great, which is exactly what you want to see for a long setup. So we noticed this towards the end of, I guess this was 2 weeks ago, and you started to see this separation starting to move up here. And you also started to see the yellow line, which is the 5-period exponential moving average, start to elevate here and slope higher. So we were actually in a long back on last Monday, and we made some really nice profits in that. And then I was looking for some follow through after that. And you had to be patient. The whole month of August, basically, you've had to be patient, right? And sit on your hands and wait for, the right setup for when you've gotten above this particular level, this particular candle. We almost did it on Tuesday, and then it failed. So it's been kind of just doing nothing here for the last couple of days. So finally today, you had to move above this candle, which is exactly what we were looking for. And, I'll be honest, like I said, I was looking at Google for a long today, which I also took. I'm going to get to Google in a minute. But I missed this initial reaction here. And this looked great, this morning, first 5 or 6 bars, and the stock was up. So now you see, which often you see right around 10 o'clock, 10:30, a little bit of a retracement here. So we retraced about a third of this up move, and we kind of stuck this. We hung in here nice. We got this floating hammer candle here right on the blue line, right on the 20-period exponential moving average. And then what I started to notice in Facebook was call buyers start to come in on the weeklies. So you could see that, there was 1,200, little by little, 1,200, 1,000, and this goes on and on and on. So, we started to see these weekly call buyers come in, and I started to take a look at, okay, well, how many have they purchased so far? And it was about 20,000. So right in here, once we saw this green candle, I said, you know what? Somebody really likes Facebook, and somebody's been accumulating these shares throughout the morning so far. So I went into Facebook, and I purchased these for 55 cents. And again, I didn't get in right in the beginning of the day, but as I saw and as I said on Twitter today, I said over 20,000 of the weekly 128 calls have traded, and I said I'm in these. So I didn't get the cheapest price on the day, but I get out 55 cents. Hit targets, throughout the day. 90 cents. This thing actually closed at $2. So 55 cents, and it closed at $2. A huge win, huge move by Facebook. You don't see these obviously every day, but just ginormous trade. I was also in Google, very similar looking chart. What we identified earlier in Google is by looking at the daily chart, noticing that, again, taking a step back, here's where it reported earnings. It moved higher, and then it's just been kind of consolidating here, moving down. But notice where we are. We never really breached this gap here, and we found some support. So this was Thursday, and then Friday really gave us a hint. Once we kind of held this new value area, the green line, the bottom of value, then we saw on Friday we started to see separation from the bottom of value, and you could start to see the technicals, the yellow line, start to move above the blue line here. So there was something going on here. We also saw this buy signal right on the Raptor. So using our technicals, using our indicators, telling us, hey, something's going on here in Google. So what I was looking for this morning is a move above this candle, and off we went. So here's what it looked like today. First candle wasn't a winner right away. You could see that we started here, we pressed the top of value, and then you could see this green candle. So I wasn't early on in this. I wanted to make sure that we were going to see this move, this candle above the red one, and I got in here. Google. I was a little bit late. I'd rather be a little bit late and correct than wrong, than early and wrong. So what I did was I waited for here, and I didn't buy the weeklies. I actually bought the monthlies. And this was for Google. I believe it was the 802 and a halves. And I bought those for $5.40, and I hit targets all the way up to $9 in this. So I think it actually went a little higher. I think it went up to $11, but that's okay. I left a little bit of money on the table, but certainly very happy with getting into a trade for $5.40 and taking it off for $9. So where does it leave us? After these big moves and these FANG stocks. Take a look. I've done this on Bloomberg. I've put together what's known as a CIX, where you can kind of create your own customized index. And I've charted the FANG stocks. I put the 4 FANG stocks together: your Google, your Facebook, your Amazon, and your Netflix. And took a look at this because there's no ETF that simply just has the 4 names. The closest to it is FDN, Frank, David, Nancy, which is your internet ETF, and the 4 FANG stocks are big weights in them. But looking at in the purest form, what the FANG stocks look like is they're in a really nice uptrend, and they're touching upon this red trend line here. So there could be a lot more room to the upside here. Notice that we're not overbought. I put the RSI on this customized index, and you can see that we're nowhere near overbought, like we were over here, up here. So we could definitely get back to the highs here, I think, in the 4 FANG stocks as a group. So really interesting here. And what I also find also interesting today and over the last week is what the Chinese internets have been doing. If you think the US internets have been doing really well, FDN, you take a look at what Baidu, Baba, NTES have been doing. It's just literally outrageous. What the performance has been in these names. So you could take a look. There is an ETF that you can follow for the Chinese internet. It's KWEB. This is something that I've been quoting quite a bit recently. AWEB. Let's try that again. And you can see for the month what the performance has been. While the US internets are up about 4 or 5%, you can see over the month, these Chinese internets are up 13% over the last month and up 15% over the last 3 months. So really, really nice performers here. Why I'll give you a little bit of a hint of when I like to play these for a day trade is when we see the Shanghai up a lot overnight. So if that happens, I think these things have more room to run. By Baba, Baidu, the name that I pointed out, I didn't trade it today, but JD.com. All of these names by Baidu, Alibaba, NTS were up very nicely pre-market. The one name that wasn't was JD.com, so that worked out really nice. A couple of traders took that in the room today. So, what else happened today? Just big move in the dollar. That caused, when you have a move down, economics today were poor. So it kind of remains in question whether or not we're going to get that rate hike, whether it's going to be, September is now becoming doubtful again. Fed fund futures are only pricing in about a 22% chance of a September rate hike, and about a decent rate hike. So equities remain in a sweet spot. That appears to be very much what the market is concerned with, is whether or not we're going to raise interest rates. And this weaker than expected economics today, notice anything greater than a 50 is expansionary in this ISM numbers, which we had on Friday as well. this came in at 51. So it's not horrible. It's still above 50, but it wasn't as high as expectations. So we remain in this kind of sweet spot. So be mindful of that going into the September Fed FOMC meeting. But, I think we can continue to kind of grind higher here without that risk of a Fed hike in September. So, also things to capitalize here. We've seen this move down here in the last couple weeks in gold miners as the dollar's gotten stronger. You could see this nice bounce here. So really nice bounce today. Gold miners were up 4.6% as GLD was up 1.7%. What I'm focusing on is XME. XME is the metals and mining ETF that has both gold miners, silver miners in it, as well as steel names, which we also saw bullish activity in. If you take a look at X, something that we haven't really seen in a while, 7,000 of the November 20 calls went up. STLD, 4,000, 3,000. I mean, look at all these calls that went up, all opening trades. To look at the steel names after they've moved down here a little bit. And if you go back, you could see that we're in this nice, you could draw a trend line right here, and we're kind of bouncing off this trend line. So really bullish. So what I did was I started a position today in XME. Now that we're in value, I want to make sure that this holds. So I think above 26.82 is a possible swing trade that you can go long the metals and mining again. I started a position in the January 28 calls for $1.68, and I'll wait a little bit. So I started a position, and if we get a retest or if we get a weekday, that's when I want to really add to the position. Also showing a counter trend buy signal here on the Raptor. So what else to watch for? Tomorrow, be careful with your biotech names. We got a couple big biotech conferences. You got the Citi Biotech Conference. You got the Wells Fargo Biotech Conference, or the healthcare conference. You got the Robert Baird Global Healthcare Conference. Look at all the names that are speaking at these conferences tomorrow. You have Gilead. You have Celgene. You got Regeneron. So be a little mindful of that. If you've got some single name biotech exposure, be a little bit careful tomorrow. That starts right after the open. It looks like some of the big guys start to present tomorrow in these biotech conferences tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. Biotech also had a really nice bounce back today, up over 2% today. So that's it for today's video. If you like watching these videos, and if you like what we have the preparation that we do and the profits that we had in the FANG stocks today, as well as the calls that we've been making in terms of getting long the miners going to the jobs report. We actually have a coupon. It's football season, so we've got a kickoff special. So you can go into Tribeca Trade Group, go into the product section, and you want the senior trading desk package monthly. You could purchase this. It's $190 a month. You could use the coupon code TTGLD, which stands for Labor Day. So TTGLD, Larry David, and you could get half off, 50% off the first month, just to give it a try. I think you're going to really like it. And that's today's video. So have a great day.